Roman, I'm incredibly excited to have you here. I'm incredibly excited to have you.
How are we going to do this? There's so much.
That's the thing. I have no fucking idea how to do this. And I'm going to be absolutely frank with you. Pretty fucking nervous about it.
Wait a minute. You've already done this.
Yeah.
You tell us how to
You
do
guys do this every time. We don't know how to do
but
this.
Am I proud of my thighs?
Do I love them?
Do I love them?
Yeah, I love them like a child. Am I proud of them? No, I'm not proud.
Would you go to a Chinese restaurant, get a fine dish of chicken, and say those are damn good thighs? But would you be proud of those thighs? No.
You'd say I ate the right chicken. I
got
the
the
right
damn
thing.
good thighs.
Yeah.
I got damn good thighs. Am I proud of them?
Have I worked for them? Yeah. Am I proud? I'm not
Django.
saying I'm proud.
You drink a big old glass of whole milk. I imagine you only drink whole milk. You take a big old sip of that whole milk. Yeah. And you don't say, boy, I'm proud of that whole milk. No, you just drink the whole milk.
But your thighs, I'm proud of your thighs.
They're creamy.
Acceptable crossover podcast, somewhere between the 140th episode and the 141st, where every Tuesday we would normally get a bunch of comic books, but now we're doing something new, and gosh darn it, it makes me nervous. I had to put socks on because I'm a clam man.
Every Wednesday we read 2 trade paperbacks.
And a stack of
curl
comics
up in a
that
ball.
Roman wants to talk about right now. So we're gonna, you hopefully are tuning into this because you've listened to the Infinity Content Podcast, or you're listening to this one and it's gonna pique your interest to listen to the Infinity Content Podcast. But we've run a very special gamut for several months now, planning to do this. We're both discussing the graphic novel Final Crisis by Grant Morrison and J.G. Jones and Doug Mahnke. We don't usually do this format. Roman, you usually do.
Yes.
So you're our linchpin.
Infinity Content, yeah. We start off with a graphic novel, even a impressive tome like this, and basically start with page 1 and go through it page by page and summarize it and talk about it.
So if you want that, check out the Infinity Content Podcast.
If you want 4 people bloviating thinking they have the right opinion, you're in the right spot. Justin, I think you've got the start for us.
Time.
No, actually, the first word is light.
Is it?
Time, a measurement of movement through the stars that shine light.
And with time, there must be change.
Right.
The birth of time, the separation of moments, and that is delta. We're gonna do a lot of editing. That's what we're gonna do this fucking podcast. Okay, so let's just get into it all together here. I'm curious, what are everyone's feelings about this book? Roman, you are sort of the bridge between 2 podcasts.
I love this book because it's Morrison weirdness and it gets into DC history, big cosmic stuff, and kind of in the 2 Superman issues are included. Really drives home that it's about the power of imagination, the power of stories, the power behind comics, all comics and film and you name it, poetry, stories.
Yeah, that's what I've got sort of for my major theme of this book is the power of story, trope, and possibility.
Nice.
Is what so that to say, I also love this book and I really enjoyed reading it again. And I'm just curious, we've got sort of people from all walks of looking at this book right now. So what is everyone else's thoughts on it, Django?
I don't know. I've read it like 3 times trying to like it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm there yet.
Oh.
Do you not like it?
I mean, you can respect something and not enjoy it, right?
For sure.
So there I am.
Working with Django.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah. I think I'm going to be one of the dissenting opinions here. I feel like it's hard to read and not as rewarding as I'd like it to be. That said, I've read it 3 times trying to get there, so it caught me somewhere.
I do think that it is hard to read as a practice in general.
Wait a minute.
Reading. No, I think there is something. Yeah, there is like this book is not an easy read, and I think that there's a lot of reasons for that we can get into.
Do we have a Final Crisis historian on the podcast tonight who might be able to tell us some of the reasons that it's hard to read?
I don't feel like it's that hard to read.
I heard that Jeff Figley has a certain background on
that's
minutia.
I have taken acid.
That's what I've heard. He has some insights that
you've researched this a lot more than I have. For sure.
I love this book, and a part of me wanting to put work into it is also knowing that Roman loves this book, and that he comes from a really different angle in most things than I do. But I think that while he does like some things more than me, and he does not like Naomi.
The last 2 issues.
I give things a certain degree of legitimacy when Roman likes them. So, in that way that like a month ago I was like, I hate Ed Piskart, and then that I don't like not liking things. I don't like not liking people. So my resolve was to then look up and watch hours of interviews with him until I understood what I felt, and I turned out I really like him a lot. This book is like that to me. Justin, what do you think about Final Crisis?
I like it a lot. I was reading it today for the first time. I'm probably, maybe the third time I've ever read it, and in different headspaces, drastically different headspaces. I read it in high school when everyone was like, Batman died in this issue, so I went back and got what I could and had no idea what the fuck it was about. Then I read it again, and it made a little more sense back when I was on my big Grant Morrison kick, when I realized I read Batman and Robin and was like, oh, Grant Morrison is a name of a writer who does stuff that I like. So I went back and read every Grant Morrison thing that I had.
So is he like the first time you realized that it was worth following a creator?
Mm-hmm. Grant Morrison was my first guy. Admittedly, I really disliked the Batman and Sun run. When I first read it, I was like, this is fucking stupid.
I had a tough time with that as well.
I was like, Man Bat Ninjas, why? But then eventually with R.I.P. and stuff, and I became quite obsessed and read it. And this time, maybe because it's my third time, and you just kind of learn to do the Morrison leap of faith, where you're like, it's all just going to make sense at some point. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It deals with so many of the themes I think I like Grant Morrison for. Ideas being living things, like how ideas become embodied. The War in Heaven, I think, is kind of the metaphor for that, how ideas come into the world, because they're these extra dimensional things. So going in it knowing that the new gods, are embodied in human beings in this world,
right,
saved a lot of confusion for me that I did not pick up.
And I think that is indicative of sort of the larger, and I don't even want to say problems, but the larger issues that people have with this is that there is a lot of assumed knowledge. There's a lot of and I think it's kind of classically Grant Morrison. I think he does a thing and he just kind of assumes that you know what he's doing, and that doesn't work for some people. For me, it doesn't always work, but I also came into this loving Grant Morrison, so there's this weird amount of trust. So I don't read a thing that he writes and say, I don't get that doesn't make sense. I say, I don't get that yet, and if I read it again, I might get it. And that is a weird, thing that probably isn't fair to art to talk about trying the book objectively, but there's a weird thing of when you like a person that much. If your buddy says he likes a band, you're more likely to like that band than if some stranger says they like that band.
Sometimes.
Right. Sometimes, yeah.
I guess there's a big difference for me between a book and entertainment, or art and entertainment.
Right.
And I feel like I go to comics for entertainment, and I'm happy when they're art most of the time. And I think that this set out to be art more than entertainment, or that's kind of where it landed. I think partly because like you were talking about a few days ago, some of the art stuff didn't translate as intended, and the story, it does require a huge knowledge of the DC universe and characters, or an amount of research in order to really understand the context for a lot of the characters. So I'll be the first to admit that my hard time with this is as much my fault as it is the book's fault, and what I'm looking for in in a story in a comic.
So one thing that I thought was really interesting, like getting into this, is the version that I'm looking at has the script to it in the back. It's really interesting to me that J.G. Jones is the artist on this book, who before this had really only done Wanted with Mark Miller and one other small project I can't remember. It was maybe something with Grant Morrison, maybe Marvel Boy. He's like a cover artist and an artist within advertising. Like that was his like field. This is, I think, the third book that he had done for sequential storytelling, like interior art. And I think that is one of the hugest detriments of this book in particular, is because when you look at the script and you look at what's not being conveyed, I think he's a fantastic artist, and I think he's not a very good cartoonist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's just weird to have saddled him. He's in that sort of school of Brian Hitch art, like it's kind of flat, and it's very like the humans are very human looking, but there's I don't know. I think there was an era in comics. It was not too long before this, where it was sort of like widescreen, kind of big, Brian Hitch, Ultimates, Planetary, like John Cassaday, like a type of art. This is a part of, and I think
it feels very much like that group of artists. The panel layouts aren't super interesting. They're pretty cluttered. The art is pretty flat. You know, it feels just like that list of artists. Like
right.
They like dominated 2006 through 2009.
Yeah.
That was like what you were getting out of high caliber comics at that point, like big focus books, white screen.
What's this about, Jeff?
Well, I mean,
Justin, Roman.
So everyone just interrupt me, because I've been like waiting to talk about this. So I don't want to hear me talk, but I do have a bunch of thoughts. I guess like what is, if you were to sort of, what's your paragraph? What is your summary of this book? Like what happened in Final Crisis? Does anybody want to give that a go? I mean, it's big.
Darkseid fell to Earth, and
Roman found out that is the fallout of wordplay, but
there was a that actually continues directly from Death of the New Gods, a 12-issue miniseries by Jim Starlin.
Yeah,
it came out like the year before this.
Okay,
so this is like the
all right. I'll have to pick that up and
everybody
trade.
Forgot about because it wasn't really that good.
Choke that down.
I think that this is Grant Morrison trying to do the New Testament for the DCU. He's trying to kind of bundle up a bunch of stories and loose ends and tell a cosmogenesis that makes sense, bridging the new world, the multiverse, fourth world and the multiverse with superheroes. So we have all these parallel Earths and all these multiple things, and he's trying to build them into a one coherent system. This is the seeds of what Multiversity was built on. And you have fourth world living above them, and fourth world entities exist in all time frames, all spaces, and all times. And this is the story of how those gods fell to Earth and what they have to do with superheroes. So you see Darkseid being embodied. You see all these people getting their human skins, and the DCU interacting with these Jack Kirby properties that are above. Like if the multiverse is horizontal, this is like vertical and above.
I think that's like a super important part of this whole book, is kind of that True Detective in-brain theory, like the ability and the willingness to try and conceptualize a story that's being manipulated by an external, larger story. So yeah, that's really hard to do. And if you're not like really willing to, I think, dance around with that, you're going to be kind of fighting it.
Right. So fourth world characters aren't on this horizontal plane of parallel universes like the Monitors and stuff.
They weren't.
Yeah, until
and then they fell to Earth.
They had an internal war, and because of that, they've fallen down. So Darkseid is trying to use this to create his new Genesis and enslave people with the anti-life equation.
His new Genesis, then, right?
Right. He's trying to remake it. He's trying to remake The War in Heaven is him trying to remake. And I only read half of this, but New Genesis, or the new God's world in his own image, and take control of the multiverse by like super fucked up enslavement, like destroying the free will of every living creature. Like everyone will become Darkseid. So this is Superman and homies, and he's manipulating the Justice League to be off-world,
right?
So he can can do this. So you're watching, you know, I feel like each thing that calls, you know, Green Lantern's removed from play from betrayal. Flash has to outrun death. Like, you're seeing kind of trials for the superheroes that take him off world. So Darkseid can do his thing. And yeah, and each one of those things play into how they defeat Darkseid as well.
Roman, do you have a sort of like, bam, here's your final crisis? Like, what happened? Because I think what is really cool about this book is that it's way more interesting to sort of, it's ripe to create your own meaning. And I think that one of the things that makes this so good is that you can get into the gears and look at what the story is, but I think it works so much better on a sort of metaphorical way, and sort of I also liken it to sort of the way that Justin described it as well.
Yeah, that was a beautiful overall cohesive summation, kind of. I mean, I like that idea of in a way, Final Crisis is kind of like what it's describing as the world tree for everything else in the DCU. The issues, the two Superman issues, when he talks about thought forms and the big giant Superman robot / thought form,
the one that Dax reality Nouveau created after he found the first inconsistency within himself.
Yeah, and that embodying hope and everything Superman and Captain Marvel and all the other Supermen embody. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, that's Final Crisis. Yeah, very, very good.
It's one of the main themes I feel in here, and it's amazing rereading this how much of this inspired current DC stuff still. I mean, I think this is the story that where Morrison introduced the orrery of worlds.
And then just like Justin said, as all that's happening, the New Gods, the ones of Apocalypse, have sort of taken everybody off the board, but. Ultimately, that is all happening as a byproduct of this larger story of the Monitors. And I guess that is the part that is, I think, very confusing and difficult to play with. But it's sort of the big crux of the story, is that the New Gods died because of an imperfection in the orrery of worlds that is allowing... we find out that the Monitors are parasitic entities that are living off of the bleed, which is what's created as a byproduct of the worlds.
The Monitors, or the original Monitor was? And some
Monitors as a race are a flawed thing, because as soon as they discovered the first imperfection and were introduced to story began to affect it. So there's this amazing quote in here.
Well, story it makes them temporal. So
exactly. So the Monitors have been contained through contact with lower dimensions. And there's this quote of, "We who were faceless once, we now have names and stories, heroes and villains, secrets and lovers. Through them, time has entered our timeless world." And because of that, these perfect, timeless ideas are now no longer ideas. And they're... whatever the original guy is, Dax Nouveau, he died trying to encapsulate this imperfection in the orrery of worlds, but it turns out he didn't actually die. That imperfection infected him, and he became Mandrak, which is this crazy...
the worst of the Monitors, the vampire Monitor.
It's the Monitor taken to the extreme, they say, and which is why what ultimately happens is this book is the dawning of the fifth world. It's the end of the fourth world. And that is men as gods and no longer separated. And so that's why at the end, Nixuotan does away with all the Monitors. So that's why it's like the final crisis of the Monitors.
Right.
But that machine is like one that like one of the Monitors had built because he became fascinated with Superman through going through the multiverse of worlds and always finding a Superman equivalent. So he built this machine as an ode to it.
God, I love that machine because it's taken right from the like 50s and 60s crazy Superman stories and Legion of Superheroes stories. So, we've got this God machine now.
The Miracle Machine.
The Miracle Machine.
I love it. It's my favorite part of this story.
So I don't know. That's. Do you want to just like pump this thing open and just sort of jump through some of the main parts of each issue?
Well,
and sort of push through it.
I just wanted to say, like, reading it in that line of art and entertainment, I read it as
the introduction.
a creation myth, which is like a story of how the DC universe is birthed, and you wouldn't read that as entertainment or art or on like a literal way. And I feel like this thing is Grant Morrison talking about his artistic process, the way you bring ideas down and how once they're embodied, they're imperfect things. Like when you write a story, it's perfect in your head. And so that's why the theme of story and embodiment and like kind of the dissolution of matter is such a big important theme in this. Is he's like kind of being a monitor looking down at the stories that he's creating, as well as showing the struggle of these ideas living in the world.
I've got a question. When this came out, how much of this was crossed over? Like, was this a DC-wide big old crossover event? Or was it like a few titles?
So that's a good question for Roman. I know that there were 4 miniseries that they were Final Crisis. There was Crisis of 3 Worlds, Revelations,
Submit,
Rogue's Revenge. Submit there was a number of one-shots for sure.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think this was like a Marvel event where they kind of put a Final Crisis banner on every book.
Yeah, I don't remember
there weren't big tie-ins across it.
I don't remember that. There was the one shots and what Justin.
I think I have all the issues if you want to borrow them.
Like, do you?
I think so.
I think there's like Grant Morrison has a quote that I think felt really true to me in terms of this book. But in an interview, in sort of talking about what he was getting at here, the interviewer says, "But still, the larger picture here: sun gods, heroes with weapons of light, angels, super cool teens, and funny animals joining together to kill a creature of darkness that was sucking the life out of the world. Metaphorically speaking, well." I guess that's a pretty big metaphor for what you're wanting to do with Final Crisis, right? And he says, well, your first sentence is a description of everything I love about comics. I just wanted to do the kind of comic that I and others like me want to read. Apart from 1 or 2 things, I'm not getting much of what I'm into from mainstream hero books these days. They're all well crafted and I enjoy the work of all my old favorites as usual, but even with hundreds of books a month, I still can't find many comics to deliver exactly what I, as a reader and a fan, am looking for from superheroes in these changing times, and that's why I wrote one. Which is just how I feel about superhero comics, and I think how Justin and I sort of always talk to each other about superhero comics, which is like, sure do love all this stuff, but when you get those ones that are, there's a type of voice that he writes with that is super uncommon, and I think that the way, what Justin was just saying is like, it's not necessarily entertainment or art, it's like the way that you have a college book assigned to you, and you know that when you're done reading it, you're going to be better for having read it, but you're not necessarily excited to, is kind of how I approach it. You're like, I got to put work into this, and I know it's going to be good for me to do this, but it's not a thing. Like, that's sort of how I think about them.
Yeah, I was kind of laughing out loud at, like, how absurd and stupid and ridiculous this book is if you're like not just completely suspending 100% of disbelief and meeting where it's at. I was like, this is why I love comics. Only comics can take something like this when you're reading like about cosmic arteries and these shiny crazy gods and all these crazy things. Only comics can do it, and specifically mainly superheroes can be these symbolic things that are talking about an artistic process, but also about this fantastical story, and also a very personal story of someone dealing with losing his wife. You know, they can be these polysalient things, and you can only get that when you have art and story mixed. And I was laughing at, like, trying to read this in word form as a novel would be absolutely...
They did one. There's a novelization of this. Yeah, there was like a book on tape that I listened to the first like 30 minutes of a couple of years ago. There's a company trying to do audio, reinterpretations of these, and like to hear this novelized, I was like, well, I am getting more information, but
right.
It's like
it probably sounds like word salad.
Yeah.
So I was laughing at, like, this would be the dumbest thing ever if it wasn't the best thing. Like, you have to meet it exactly where it's at and try to understand kind of the layers of what's going on in terms of a conversation in comics. Like, this is so much Jack Kirby in it. It's so much the DCU.
It's super a love letter to Jack Kirby. It's like the biggest sort of honoring of Jack Kirby I've seen in a comic. But I guess that makes sense, as it's like the Fourth World was Jack's thing.
Well,
It's got mythic logic, is what I was trying to say. Like, you can't think about it in the terms of just like, this is a story to entertain or to give you a plot. It's like, it's kind of trying to teach a lesson.
So I think that we should, start moving through it. And I think that probably you guys on Infinity Content did a good job of probably accurately assessing what is going on in this story.
Yeah.
And I'm less interested in us doing that, just so there's not two podcasts doing the same thing, but I am interested in just sort of like what we read out of each sort of issue of it, or what sort of was happening to us, because I certainly don't think that I have the right answer of this. But I think that what's great about this is there is not a right answer to it.
Right. Well, was one question.
Yeah.
I had right in the
it's going to be a 2-hour
'cause I can't
podcast of us
remember.
trying to get to talk about
Yeah.
Final Crisis.
What's his name here? The guy at the staff, the villain.
Libra.
Libra. He was introduced before this, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's like an old villain.
I like it.
Oh, okay. Because I thought he was a fairly, other than that one appearance in the 70s, I thought he was a fairly new villain
yes,
at this
I just
point.
know the 70s appearance.
Yeah. So Libra's assembling these villains, and they're up to no good.
They're up to no good.
But Libra's a weirdo.
Libra's a weirdo, and he's trying to take over like the super club of villains, or what is
Yeah.
it? It's like, your third tier.
Yeah, I forget their
Legion of Doom.
Because it's not the Legion of Doom. It's not the. Is it Secret Society?
Yeah,
the Secret
yeah.
Society.
Yeah.
So this issue, the first issue starts with Anthro, the first boy, just chilling.
Which I would have liked to know that was Anthro. It didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever really tells
I would like
you
to see like an
specifically.
annotated version of this.
There are.
With
There
like
are.
acetate overlays.
That would be good. Well, and that's again a big part of the problem in this series for me is the art. Like at the end of this first issue, so at the beginning, Anthro sees Metron, and Metron says, "Here is knowledge," and he gives him the metaphor of Promethean fire, but it's also actually a name in the New Gods world that I forget, but it's a particular fire that Jack Kirby created. At the end of this issue, we're seeing Kamandi show back up to Anthro. And in the script, it specifically says it's important that this is clearly the same spot that Metron showed up. And there's like
There's no
really
indication
any
of
way-
that.
And that's just one of like 100 instances in the first issue.
In fact,
Yeah,
Information not conveyed. We're like, after Metron gives Anthro fire, we're taking to this scene of a bunch of Neanderthals fighting one another, and what's important is that that's Vandal Savage, and his clan of the bear or whatever is fighting the clan of like the deer or the clan of the bat or something. And then like several pages later, Vandal Savage shows back up in this club of villains because he's the immortal villain.
But you don't really have a way to connect those two visually.
But
No.
if you don't have the
And-
DC history like we do, you don't know that's
And
Vandal
even
Savage.
these pages here of like a person pulling somebody out of this, it says very specifically, like, make sure Vandal Savage is the one pulling this person out in this way, approaching the like chieftain. And there's just there's a lot of stuff that I think I don't. And so Justin, you've probably read more comic scripts than I have.
Yeah.
I have to assume there's a lot of stuff that gets lost. But there seems to be a
Ideally,
lot
not
that's
that
lost.
much lost. I have had people do sketches and stuff of what they think's going on, and there is some lost. But he's talking to Vandal Savage. Libra is talking to Vandal. He addresses Vandal Savage in the room.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's very deliberate, and it should have been conveyed that this is a flashback of Vandal Savage and kind of the hoarding of knowledge and what it does. I did not realize until you said that was Vandal Savage, which is a totally another layer of context that could have been fleshed out.
It's
See on the very
all
on the very
over in here,
yeah
unfortunately.
on the very first page. Actually, it wasn't until halfway through reading the collection that I realized, first page, that's Darkseid falling. I thought it was Orion.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause next time we see a new god, it's Orion laying there. He's just fallen to Earth.
And he's all burnt.
supposedly.
Here's another interesting thing about this first issue. So Metron gives Anthro fire, and then our transition from prehistory to the modern day is through fire, right? Like the detective's lighting a cigarette after we see the fire burning.
Fire is a huge
People. And
metaphor
then-
throughout the whole series.
And then they kill John Jones
Right.
with fire, right? I didn't notice that was all related
Oh, yeah.
on my third read through.
and Barry running through time trying to outrace that bullet, and he's often kind of on
electrical
electrical fire.
Oh, I'm so excited for that.
I love the whole thing with the bullet.
Oh, the bullet is one of my favorite parts of the whole thing, and the divine comedy of Darkseid committing suicide. So yeah, like Django said, using fire, we're transferred to Dan Turpin. Django Roman. Who knows who this guy is? I don't, but he's an old character, right?
But I like him.
He's an old Jack Kirby character.
I'll abstain. I'm going to let Roman take this one.
Yeah, and like that's why I'm so glad you're here, is because there's so much that I don't know, and I've just sort of read and tried to gather from a whole bunch of different places and of kind of what this is. But you were there for all of it.
Yeah, and I don't know if he showed up first in New Gods. I'm going to assume maybe so. But yeah, he's this rough and tumble. Some people would say he's kind of based on Jack Kirby, just this rough, tumble, really tough guy, normal human. Detective, used to be around a lot in Kirby's books, or at least one of the series, in the 70s, and he kind of disappeared for a long time until sometimes in the Superman books in the 90s. And then this.
His own book.
Yeah,
and then this, which I think, well, I won't say any spoilers yet. By the way, we're going to have spoilers.
Oh yeah, if you haven't read Final Crisis, this isn't the way to read Final Crisis.
Yeah.
I don't think. You should read Final Crisis and then listen to this, and maybe it will help. Possibly.
Yeah.
Spoilers in this episode are sponsored by Jeff
Ryan
Figley's barbecue sauce delivery
Oh
service.
yeah.
If it wasn't warmed by Jeff's hands,
It's not.
it's
warm.
hardly sauce.
But what Dan Turpin discovers is the dead body of Orion, the new god. Well, the almost dead and then dead body of Orion, the new god.
Yeah. The son of Darkseid.
Absolutely.
And
Can I help you in some way?
Yeah, I just need help with something. Really quick.
Can I be there
can't-
for you?
What's the detective's name?
Dan Turpin.
Slower.
Dan
Turpin.
I love the name.
And that's another
Turpin.
thing. I brought for halfway through here. I brought us a big old fat juicy doober to light up.
Doobie
and get,
doo.
Django's first doob trip.
What's a doober?
Exactly. It's the Final Crisis magic. And after finding Orion, Dan Turpin.
I just like 1960 whatever when Kirby's like, what would a cool tough guy's name
A timeless
be?
tough.
Yeah. Dan Turpin. That's it. That's
Yeah.
gold.
Turpin sounds like a turtle. Yeah.
It's turpentine.
So yeah, like Green Lanterns show up and they're like, this is no good. We got a dead new god.
Not even just an old god, a new one.
And then Django, this is a particularly Django scene.
In the garbage dump?
Yeah, well, sorry. I was mostly thinking that those villains felt super Giffen and DeMatteis to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, also it's garbage.
The
Garbage.
yeah, the Mirror Master, Grant Morrison got to play with in Animal Man like number 2 or 3, which was another book that he ended up talking a lot about story in Animal Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Dr. Light.
Oh, gosh.
But in this scene,
Still a creep.
Dr. Light
Yep.
and Mirror Master basically go to charge Metron's chair with sunlight, which is what it requires to run. And upon doing so, they acquire it somehow. And it goes to Libra, who is at...
Not the best scene transition I've ever seen.
No, and also like this whole... The girl fighting for it, when you read the script there, it's just very, very different. Like, I only have the script to 1 issue, and... I couldn't find script pages to the other 6 issues of this series, but I would love to read it.
Like we have them, it's like, okay, we got the chair, but then the scene ends with him like stepping on her face, and then Libra in the bottom panel in the chair. Like
Yeah.
they don't bring him the chair, he's just in it. It's a strange way scene transition. And is there a time jump as well?
Possibly, yeah.
There's got to be some.
Yeah, in
You
this
got to
book,
get
there's
that
some
chair
time
there, baby.
jump.
Yep.
But he's just making propositions to this bad guy crew saying, hey, you know, he's not saying Darkseid's name overtly, but he's saying, I'm Libra, I'm here to even the scales. You know, the time of evil's triumph is upon us. You can join us or you'll die. And if you join us, we'll give you whatever you want. And to demonstrate that, what is his name? The Human Flame?
The Human Flame. He gives the Human Flame what he's always wanted, which is to kill the Martian Manhunter
Yeah.
with flame.
Does everybody know that that's Martian Manhunter's weakness?
Apparently.
And also, they just killed a really important member of the Justice League in 1 panel with no discussion.
That shocked me and pissed me off when I read this issue the very first time after it came out. I was like, what? They can't do that to John.
Yeah, you see one panel of him being dragged in the door, and then he's burning and he's dead.
And I like how this fire dude in the background so thrilled by the whole thing. He's getting off on it.
And the weird, like, halfway through this scene, we get the shot of the human flame, like, using his cell phone to, like, videotape it or something. Like,
yeah, he's taping it.
That there's just... okay, I guess that's how it goes to news channels, because there is a whole funeral for John.
The faces on this panel when they're filming it are so bad.
Yeah. Lex.
But that super high-tech cell phone in 2008.
Yeah, and Vandal Savage, he looks cross-eyed behind him. I like the fact it's a flip phone, because it was 2008, but also the fact Human Flame, yeah, he'd have a flip phone.
Yeah, he's on prepaid.
And after this, we're sort of seeing some news broadcasts of what's going on in Bloodhaven, which is where Command D is beneath ground. And Bloodhaven is basically the staging grounds for Darkseid and, you know, the whole crew that he's got. Those peoples.
And it's where Nightwing hangs out.
It's also where Nightwing hangs out.
It also got nuked.
It got nuked. So then we go to this club here where...
The Club Darkseid.
Club Darkseid. And this is something that is a big part of the Seven Soldiers of Victory run. Darkseid possessing Boss Darkseid is a very big part of that.
All right, so I'll get the trade paperback of that too.
Yeah.
Got the issues if you want to borrow them.
I got the issues, fucker.
I know a guy with the issues.
I'm missing one.
Probably got it.
Which one? You do know that they're all 4, right?
I don't
You tried
remember.
to tell me they were all 3 recently.
Oh, then you're
should have
potentially
been.
missing that.
Dan Turpin talks to Boss Darkseid, gets real ooked out by him, and a bunch of kids, which is what he's actually looking for is the disappearance of several kids, and he finds these kids here, and Boss Darkseid's being a real creepo. Cut abruptly to what Grant Morrison described in the script as what he wanted to be the largest scale zoom out that comics have ever seen.
And it's not.
And this is what we got, and it's not bad.
This?
Yeah.
Of the Earth? Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
he said, like, start with Superman's face and slowly zoom out of the Hall of Justice to the continents, to the Earth, to seeing Earth in a prison by the Alpha Lanterns, and no being can join or leave the Earth. While
That would have been cool, but there's no sense of
robotic
motion.
butt,
There's no sense.
There's a robo-butt right there.
Yeah, there's no
for
sense
sure.
of zooming out at all.
I mean, technically it does go out to that point.
Right.
Well, technically, but yeah, the
it's-
panels are static panels.
It's kind of ungraceful.
Yeah.
Though it is a really cool job. The GLs have encased the Earth
nice.
in a in a big Green Lantern
Turpin
energy
net.
net, a Turpin net.
Big
Yeah.
old Turpin net.
And then we sort of get taken to the Orrery of Worlds and the Monitors. And this is where we sort of get introduced to the actual crisis that's going on here.
This is a beautiful page of the first appearance of the
Form
Orrery
of
of Worlds.
glass of a water, shape of a Turpin net.
Turpin net. And what we have here is we learn that Nix Uotan, who was the monitor of a planet where everything died, was stripped of his duty.
I just
And
laugh because I love that name.
Nix Uotan.
Nix Uotan.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
DJ Nix
DJ Nix. He's being banished to be sent into the Orrery of World, into a planet where he will no longer be a monitor and no longer have the memories. And he will not be with his love, Ouija Del. And, you know, they would never have been in love if the whole race hadn't been corrupted by Story. And then we have this shot here of Roxagama, I think is his name. And
Roxagama.
this is a panel that never made sense to me ever in my reading of it, but it's he's got his hand and he's sort of whispering, and it's supposed to be a reference to Silver Age comics when bad guys would look at the camera and talk to the camera, and it's supposed to be this meta statement that is just like super not conveyed.
Yeah, because it looks like he's talking to somebody that the page got cut in half, and he's talking to somebody off screen instead of the reader.
It's
Yeah, and I didn't get that until you'd explained that to me.
and I only got it because the script explained it to me. Just at the end here, we see Anthro one more time, and he's drawing this symbol. It looks like the symbol that Metron gave him at the beginning of the issue. And out of nowhere, Commandy shows up from Command D, and it's got the Commandy world as depicted on the first issue of Commandy. And it's saying, Metron gave you a weapon against the gods. We need it now. Which is actually a kind of huge answer to this whole story that you wouldn't get until you've read it several times, but that symbol, that circuit, is the New God language, the New God word for freedom of oppression or freedom from like oppressive ideology.
It's the life equation.
It's the life equation. It's the extreme prevention of anybody having control over you. And then we wake up to Nick Suoton waking up here. That's issue 1. I promise I won't complain about the script because I don't have script pages for anything out of there. But I love this book. But it was very apparent to me that there is a lot not being conveyed here.
The number of things that you just had to clarify because you read that one issue 2 times, once with pictures and once without, is fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, for an editor to let that be printed is criminal. And like that's not fair to the reader, and it's not fair to the writer.
But it's also, I enjoyed this book before knowing any of that.
I didn't.
And that's super
And I
fair.
might enjoy it a whole lot more if any of it made any fucking sense. Like if any of the connections that Grant Morrison wants you to make were possible to make at all. Like without that script, there's no way you would know that this guy is Vandal Savage. And
I agree.
That's garbage. And there's no way you would know that Anthro is in the same place. Is he in the same time? Like, is this a few days later? So was Anthro hanging out in the same time as Command D?
The way I interpreted that is that since the world, the great disaster and the half-submerged Statue of Liberty behind him, there's some kind of
apes.
There's some kind of time meld there. So you see Commandy's world kind of flash into view behind Anthro's world, allowing Commandy to come there.
Exactly.
And
Planet of the Monkey
It's
guys.
just like an unseen portal mesh.
And that's Darkseid pulling our reality into a black hole, and as such, time and space collapse. So moments of time were running into each other, occupying the same space.
Cool. Show it better.
I agree with you.
It's super confusing.
Yeah.
Like,
now imagine when people were trying to read this as the individual issues as they're coming out, because I remember a lot of people, I mean, they were dropping Final Crisis and all this. They're like, this is terrible. This is awful. God, I hate Grant Morrison. And yeah, it's really unfortunate.
To be fair,
because I was reading them,
fuck
but I was
that
still,
guy,
and I still wasn't catching on. I was reading it more out of faith because I was like, I don't know what's happened until we got to the Superman.
I don't think it's Grant Morrison's fault. But,
no, it's not.
But yeah,
I don't.
Like
I
you said,
think
I think it would be
should have been doing his job.
unapproachable story and probably not a huge seller or massively popular book, even if it was more fleshed out in the art, because it is such a cosmic, big, talking about ideas and such a meta book. It would probably, and they have a spaceship fueled by music, it would probably be not a super widely reached book, but it does seem like there are some essential parts of the book that I read this book in a way that I'm not trying to figure out something that makes logical sense. I'm trying to get like a higher meaning or a overall moral or message from it. So I'm pretty willing to like, okay, this part doesn't add up like a story should add up. But
or even the idea that I don't believe that I didn't get out of it what I was supposed to. Like, I might not have gotten exactly what he was thinking, but the fact that, 3 years ago, Justin and I were, like, chain smoking cigarettes in a car talking about what Final Crisis was about is a pretty successful execution to me, even in spite of all the flaws. Like, I don't think a thing should be immediately evident. Like Mr. Miracle's ending. I think the ambiguity of that allows it to be a discussion piece for a long time, and I think this whole thing is a bit of that ambiguity.
It does seem like legitimately there is a very tight-knit story, which, Jeff and I would always defend it and say, there's something there, even if none of us get it. But it seems like there was intentional pieces that would make this a lot more of a coherent read that were just
also, J.G. Jones, before this, had been diagnosed with some manageable type of cancer.
He's still dealing with it. He just got out of the hospital a couple days ago.
He quit comics for a long time right after this because of it, and Doug Mahnke came on to pick up some of that slack. So I also can't beat him up because nature's doing that to him. Like he did all of this while managing
Well, then we can beat up the editor.
Yeah, I think it's an editorial part.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know it sounds like I'm just shitting on this over and over, and I don't want you guys to think that I hated this book. I read it. It was too dense for me. It felt like work. But don't come at this discussion like you have to defend it to me, because I think that anybody who picks it up who's not a huge comic nerd has a chance to really dig this in a different way than I dig it. And so don't feel like you have to,
don't
tell
Django.
me why it's good, because I don't hate it. I just didn't enjoy reading it.
I don't feel like that, but I think that the large consumer audience for it doesn't like it.
Right.
And is confused by it, and I think that's totally fine.
It's like
But-
the honeydew melons are pretty good. And if you get a Christmas melon, it's a lot like a honeydew melon, but it just doesn't. It's not as good, and it's all the parts are there, but it's not what I want.
I don't mess with a melon in general.
I like a melon. I like a honeydew more than a cantaloupe. I won't.
Yeah, I can't
It's not an issue of can't. It's an issue of won't. Issue 2 is basically the introduction of the Sunny Sumo Japanese Super Friends team,
Which I actually really liked.
What do you guys think of the Super Young team?
I like them, and I like that costume.
Where have they been all Grant Morrison's life? I would read this comic every week.
And then the other thing that happens in issue 2 is that the Alpha Lanterns show up, quarantine the area with the new god. Yeah. And they're kind of menacing. But
That's why I love them. They're scary.
What happens is they find a bullet buried underneath the body in concrete. Batman shows up, is real wary, and what he realizes is that the lead Alpha Lantern, Kraken, is actually Granny Goodness, parading as an Alpha Lantern. And
Batman, you intuitive motherfucker! God damn!
She kidnaps him and sends him off to the Darkseid camp, and then what happens? Oh my god! The Flashes are running around and they fucking see the return of Barry Allen.
Whoa, that's
the
not
Black
something you see
Racer.
every day.
No, it's not. You don't even see that in like a 20-year span.
My dead friend, what's up, dude?
Hey, my dead friend and partner.
I love what it's just Wally J. Everybody run,
Yeah.
and then it's okay. Wait for next issue.
So some issues are a little bit more like groundwork. Issue 2 was more that.
Those are the issues I like the most.
I feel like
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I feel like this issue was good. You got some plot set up in a way that seems, familiar. You're seeing things move and happen, and you got Batman doing cool stuff. I gotta say, Batman, you gotta hand it to him. He is willing to just to accuse a robotic space cop that they
I
may
don't
be
trust you.
you may be a reincarnated old lady from a higher dimension in this body. I'm gonna punch you.
I got my eyes on you.
Yeah, and
Granny.
He just goes and punches an Alpha Lantern. Like, he's a man. He's a Batman.
And isn't it all just because he recognizes the symbol on her palm as
Right.
like an Omega symbol or something?
And
Yeah,
just,
she
like,
recognized the lantern, like she punched a lantern, and like yeah.
But Batman just goes for it. He's like, I'm just going to fight this robotic girl who I have no idea how powerful she is. I'm
Yeah.
just going to start swinging.
There's a lot of moments like that in this issue. I love early on when it has a Rising Sun, who's an older Japanese superhero, and he's just ranting and railing against the Super Young team and being all these celebrity wannabe superheroes that don't do anything, and he's just going off. You kids get off my lawn, basically.
And I think that's a kind of big undercurrent in Grant Morrison's work is sort of the second generation having a dialogue with the first generation.
Yeah.
Like the changing of the times and the changing of the guard having a relationship with one another is a very Grant Morrison thing. We also see some dead tigers and what are these guys? These Darkseid.
Simeon and Makari?
Yeah, Makari.
Yeah.
We see basically a real shady, bloody place where Glorious Godfrey is, and Dan Turpin has been taken to, and Batman's been captured, and there's just a lot of bad shit. Also, the Daily Planet gets bombed, and it's Clayface pretending to be Jimmy Olsen, and it's an extension of Libra controlling a situation to get Superman off the board.
Yeah.
And apparently the new gods have captured Commandy.
Command D, the place.
No, the dude.
No, Commandy himself.
Oh.
He's in the prison there.
Yeah, Darkseid has captured him.
Ooh, I didn't even notice.
See,
that's Commandy.
That's what makes me wonder if that's covered in another book, because that's like all of a sudden Commandy is stuck in this prison.
Yeah, I
and
don't
last
know if
time we
they
saw him, he was hanging out with Anthro.
I'm saying the
end
same
of the last
thing
issue.
about Metron gave you a weapon, and he's still saying that.
I
no
think
one's
he's
listening.
bouncing through time and space is almost my thought at that point. Like
Yeah.
he's just showing up at places and he's saying this important message. Is how I would interpret that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
As with much of this. Yeah, and we see the Black Racer chasing Barry Allen, which is an important part of this whole story, the Black Racer, who I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Roman on a podcast about a year ago
Yeah,
about
the
him.
Black Racer is the embodiment of death in the fourth world, in the New Gods universe. If he's coming for you, you're doomed.
I love the scene where Jimmy Olsen talks to Lois and then gets in the elevator and turns into like Clayface.
Yeah. That's a good panel.
It's like an ooky panel.
Like I said, he's not a bad artist. I just think he's a bad cartoonist.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Storyteller.
In issue 3, cruising through here, we've got Frankenstein and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. investigating the bunker that the bad guy crew was hanging out in, the Darkside Club. And as that's happening, through some sort of lightning, a Supergirl from another world has fallen to Earth, and in German, she's saying the sky is bleeding, which is very scary.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way that I shouldn't. But.
Oh, Justin, you dirty sky bleeder.
Black Racer's really cool. He's great character design. Love him.
I do like the way, and I don't know if J.G. Jones came up with this or if this was the way Racer was being drawn at the time, but before, like in Kirby would draw him like kind of like a Silver Surfer. It's a guy on skis. Mm-hmm. The way it's drawn here, the skis are his feet. I mean, his ankles just become skis.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Gosh, we've got Nick Suoton has been fired from his burger job because he keeps showing up late. We have the Flashes, Wally recounting to Iris and the other Flash family that he and Wally found Barry and slipped into the time stream with him, but he messed up his knee and fell out of the time stream into the present. That's a big part of this.
When you do that?
Oh, every time. We cut to a scene of Libra hanging out with the human Flame, and he puts the anti-life helmet on him, and he immediately sort of submits to the dark side will.
And that might have been a nice nod too, because this panel at the top of that page with the skull headquarters of the Legion of Doom, this might be the first time that was shown like in continuity in a modern DC book.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because they made a big deal about it in the recent Scott Snyder Rebirth run as being the first time that was a part of it. But you're right.
Yeah.
This is clearly before that.
So is the previous issue where they zoom out, is that the first time we've seen the Hall of Justice in the main universe?
Because I think that same run was the first time they showed the Hall of Justice as well, like Rebirth, but obviously they're doing it here.
First time you see that big robot butt, too.
That Alpha Lantern butt issue 1. A big part that happens after the Human Flame falls under Libra's spell is that he pressures Lex Luthor into surrendering to him, and Lex begrudgingly does.
That's a big thing.
That's a big old thing.
You see at Lex Luthor's desk? It's just a giant tree.
It's half a tree. That's just a big old cut of a tree.
Yeah, that guy is not a guy who submits often.
No, that's a Quitely tree right there. And then we see Superman in the hospital with Lois Lane, and he is using his heat vision to keep her heart alive because it would stop otherwise. The Alpha Lanterns
somehow, I don't know what. It's just one of those cool,
just
science, super science.
You see 101 Dalmatians when he rubs the dead puppy back alive. You know, it's like that.
Is it the live action one?
No. God, no. God, Disney.
What would that
Disney,
look like?
Hal Jordan's being
doing that puppy
interviewed by people. This is significant because Aquaman is back. Aquaman has been long missing at this point, and this is the first appearance of the return of Arthur Curry.
Oh.
Did Grant Morrison not know that he'd been off the table for a while?
He did. There's many instances in this story where somebody's like, well, yeah, why didn't you do something with that? He's like, I brought him back to let another writer do something with.
Huh.
There was a lot of moments where he was like, yeah, I wanted to bring this back at this moment so other writers could sort of take the reins with it.
So you kind of glossed over the scene with Superman because the end of that scene has someone show up and tell Superman that he's got to leave right that minute to save Lois. Mm-hmm. And that's what kind of launches the Superman specials.
Which are my favorite.
For sure. Green Arrow, Alan Scott assembles the Justice Society because a bunch of bad stuff's going on and it's mounting. Sonny Sumo has a run-in with... So this part kind of confuses me. But Sonny Sumo gets attacked, and that sort of, this team of superheroes gets attacked by a bunch of anti-lifers. And they've got their helmets, and they attack those folks, but they escape. So I guess that's kind of the bonding moment of the super team squad folks.
Oh, yeah, when Sonny Sumo meets with
Shiloh
Norman,
that's Mr. Miracle.
Third Mr. Miracle,
but he's not in his costumes. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I didn't realize that was him. And then we have Wonder Woman in Bloodhaven, and this is a big thing. Wonder Woman in Bloodhaven, she's going to check it out because this place is kind of ground zero for a lot of the bad stuff that's going on. And she runs into Mary Marvel, who has basically just become head-shaved, bondage Mary Marvel.
Wearing a helmet with pigtails instead of a ponytail.
And I believe what is going on here is that's Desaad.
Yeah.
It's Desaad.
And
one of the Apocalyptian new gods.
And Desaad cuts her and cuts a vial open. And in doing so, she becomes the carrier for the Moricocum virus, which I believe is a virus that takes away people's superpowers. But more than that, it's what ultimately will cause her and 3 other big superheroes to become the female Furies.
That scene has another thing I have a really hard time with, which is giant dogs that you can ride like horses.
Yeah.
You don't love that?
I know that you're kind of spooked out by dogs.
I don't.
Can we unpack that?
How did they get the dogs that big?
Yeah.
Who did that? Because up until this point,
The Atom?
sure. But has he been?
I don't know in here, but those guys in armor
But in
and
real
the
life,
giant
we get
dogs
giant dogs.
are the Atomic Knights, which are in the old continuity are from one of the many alternate futures where some horrible thing has happened.
dogs are real big.
So they're mutated dogs.
Like a place where people grow long hair and thread it through helmets?
Well,
Yeah,
gravity
they wear
is
armor
much
'cause it creates-
heavier
it's-
on Apocalypse,
They wear
and dogs
armor
have
because
to
it
be
protects
strong.
you from radiation.
They're real hungry.
So their
Okay.
bones are big.
All right.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to talk about why I don't like
Comic
dogs.
books.
Makari uses the internet to release an email that is sent all over. I love this sort of 2008 internet. You
Yeah.
know, like they
Oh,
release
no.
an email and text messages that are going to open themselves.
key?
Yeah, what is that key, Django? The
What's
key
that?
that he uses beneath backspace.
The anti-life key?
Oh, it's
we all
right
have
here.
that
It's
key.
just above return.
That's
just
the
the
slash or the pipe.
just
He's
the
just hitting enter, though.
Yeah, he's hitting enter.
Oh, he is.
What's
yeah,
a buzz?
never mind.
What's buzz with?
Wait, enters the anti-life key the whole time?
They send a whole bunch of bad juice out there, and everyone's about to get turned into an anti-lifer. And then Barry and Wally fall out of the time stream accidentally about 2 weeks in the future, and Wonder Woman is a female Fury, and Batwoman and Catwoman and Giganta
Yep.
are all the female Furies.
Giganta,
Damn if that's not a cool reveal.
who Dr. Light was late for a date for in the other junkyard, and
first
Mirror
issue.
Master was making fun of him for it. And also, I think that the art is not great. No, it's 2 different strip clubs. Never mind. There's 2 different strip clubs in this comic.
Really?
There's one, Striptease Twisters is where in the
beginning,
prequel the
yeah.
dude lands, and then when
the
Barry
flash
and Wally stop, they're right in front of a live nude girls. So I don't know what Grant Morrison or maybe J.G. Jones is trying to say, but
Too many strip clubs in their memory to be working with.
more than 3 X's and they start taking off their skin is what I heard.
Ooh, gross.
On
All right.
Apocalypse, that's just 1X.
We're at Superman Beyond, everybody, which cuts to that scene where the female monitor that showed up, like Django said, is trying to get Superman to come away from Lois Lane. She stopped time. She stopped time.
Stop
She
time.
stopped time.
She freaking, how's she doing?
So
They can go
there's
accomplish what they need to accomplish in
That's
just
a
a
Soap
second.
dispenser right there.
there's something I didn't notice.
sure
You're sterile.
That's not soap. That's hand sand.
Oh,
Yeah,
never mind.
gotta be sterile.
Gotta be sterile.
Yes, and
Pure.
Sorry.
no, but
It's pure L.
That's a
Kryptonian?
Super
that's a
fucking good.
I've been
That
waiting
was
all fucking night for that,
all
Roman.
right. So Superman
That's your
Beyond.
gooey duck. Hell of a gooey duck.
Gathum. There's something that I noticed just tonight looking through this book about Superman Beyond, which was a
Dark Knight
2-issue series.
Returns reference.
It's a
No.
year one reference.
No. Page 1 is kind of a flash forward. And she says, "Tell me, Superman, what shall we engrave upon your tombstone?" Or he, is that Mandrak?
That's Mandrak.
If you look at the last page of the second issue, what is engraved on the tombstone is to be continued.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that before. Like first and last pages reference each other.
And it's also like an incredibly powerful symbolic element
Right.
that the whole 2 issues were anchored around. And that idea of to be continued is sort of
Yeah.
why Superman is Superman.
But it starts right there on page
Oh,
1.
yeah. That's a well done 2 issue. This is when Doug Mahnke joins the series, who will ultimately step in the final issue and a half to make this book come out on time. Can I take a sidebar? Take a sidebar?
Take a sidebar.
Get on that sidebar.
Issue 1.
Is that a weed thing?
Yeah, it's a. Sorry. Let's get that doob tube
Oh, I
out.
was hoping it was a maple bar.
Doob tube. All right, everybody. Issue 1, May 28th, 2008. Issue 2, June 25th, 2008. Issue 3, August 6th, 2008. So we're monthly at this point.
June. Okay.
That one's 5 weeks. Issue 4, 10 weeks, August 6th to October 22nd.
And did these Superman books come out in between?
The first one did.
Okay.
That one came out August 27th. So 3 weeks after issue 3, we got Superman Beyond. Then we've got a solid 2 months, nothing comes out, except for probably tie-in books. October 22nd, issue 4, December 10th, so 6 weeks, issue 5, issue 6.
It's 5 where Batman's killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, or 6,
Yep.
Number 6 was June 14th, and number 7, 2 weeks later, June 28th. So the biggest gap in this was a 10-week gap in which one of these came out. I just think that that's really interesting relative to current event comics, that we have a 4-week gap, a 5-week gap, a 10-week gap, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, and 2 weeks. Now we're getting...
Which made it even harder to remember what the heck was happening.
I can't imagine trying to do this with that much space in between. Also, I shove a lot of stories in my brain every week.
But like Doomsday Clock, you know, like just the number, or like any book that like Kurt Busiek has been on.
Okay, so Kurt Busiek is ill.
Yeah.
I don't think we can blame him.
Oh, I just think that like the number of things that people are at peace with in terms of like allowing books to be delayed with at this point, and right now today, we're way more at peace with it with back then. Whereas like I would say aside from that 10-week thing, monthly is pretty impressive, and they got the final 2 out within 2 weeks of each other.
Yeah. I mean, contrast that with today, excluding Doomsday Clock and other books that have more meta things going on, like Batman Damned or whatever, but like War of the Realms.
Civil War II and Secret Empire both were delayed massively.
But not 10 weeks, right?
Like all this did with
they extended them.
Secret Wars.
Secret Wars was delayed massively.
Yeah,
but not 10 weeks.
10 weeks is basically just saying, hey, for 1 month you're not getting the main book, you're getting Superman Beyond because that's as important as the main book.
That's an extra month and a half.
Has Doomsday Clock had a delay as long as 10 weeks between a book?
Pretty sure it has.
We're like I think a year behind where it was supposed to be.
I was thinking about that today and just I'm really ready to finish it.
Yeah, I'm really ready to finish it too. 10 weeks is a lot, but Grant Morrison and Submit also came out in that time. So like
so there were still books.
Yeah, there was definitely books, and Grant Morrison was still writing them.
Yeah.
Which I think, I don't know, that's not a defend this book thing. I just think it's really interesting. When we did All-Star Superman, when we looked at that one, there was like 9 months between issues.
Dude, the last issue of Planetary was 4 years late or some shit.
Yeah, like
there was one goddamn issue.
Yeah, there was a year, 2 years between issues in that. So like, you know, all that to say, pretty good job, guys. Pretty good job. Am I proud of it? I'm not proud of it. No, I'm not going to say I'm proud of it.
But I would drink that milk.
I would put that milk in a glass and then in my mouth.
And I would say this is a damn fine glass of milk.
Am I proud of it? No. No. What happens in these Superman Beyond issues, Justin?
Superman is really cool, guys.
Just the whole time.
He's got 4D vision.
Yeah, he sure does have 4D vision.
And he just kind of does it. Superman,
yeah, she just tells him. He's like, what's that? Okay, doing it.
He supers the fuck out of this whole situation with his other
Captain Atom, ADAM.
So cool.
Is that the Dr. Manhattan
analog?
Yeah.
So the Monitor shows up and tells him that they need Superman. And he's like, well, I can't leave Lois's side. And she says, we're going to do this in 1 second. And it's going to feel longer to you. And then it takes 2 issues to do 1 second.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because she needs the greatest Superman to join all the other Supermen from across the multiverse.
Someone should do this, like these issues, them being my favorite. I will just super jerk Superman for a billion, trillion seconds. I can just go into all the reasons why I love Superman. And these are some of the issues why I think we'll never get to what happens in these issues if I do these issues, because Superman is so cool.
Believe it or not, these Superman issues were probably 2 of my favorite issues in this trade.
They're maybe my favorite part of it as well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
To put it in a real quick nutshell, this female Monitor, who is actually the love interest of the Monitor that went missing upon investigating the imperfection within the orrery. She's assembled a team to help her, and she is trying to outrun in her ship the Ultima Thule, which is designed to look like the Yellow Submarine because the Beatles are like a primordial instance of like novelty in music. So like contacting new harmonics, which music frequency is what the entire DC universe is built upon. So he's saying that like this is unique because music is DC and frequency comes into play in the Superman stuff. But they're in their ship and they use music to travel through the bleed space, which is why I got us this red blend. Wine
nice.
It's a nice bleed space tie-in.
Oh, that's why I just poured out the wine and put my blood in the bottle.
Oh my god! I thought it tasted a little Christ-like. But there's a sort of team of parallel reality Superman. There's like Uberman. There's Captain Atom, which is your Watchmen analog. Captain Marvel's in there, and they are traveling through realities in the Ultima Thule, trying to escape this evil ship that is piloted by Mandrak that is pursuing, I forget her name, Zilovala is her name.
Is Mandrak, does his name mean something?
I don't know. I
don't like his name.
It means villainous.
Most of these monitor names that Grant Morrison made are built off or based on Kirby monitor names.
Okay.
And I don't know how, but I looked at like this name, like Zilovala is based off of a specific name of somebody, and I couldn't, looking at the letters, understand how they were related.
How he did it.
But somebody thought that was a thing.
He needs a Hickman chart to tell you how to name those things.
Oh, careful, buddy. Careful.
What if those two, what if Hickman illustrated Grant Morrison?
Grant Morrison could illustrate Hickman because all of the sketches that Nick Walton has in the book are all Grant Morrison sketches that he had given J.G. Jones for the book.
I would like that more.
In the All-Star Batman and Robin, you can see Grant Morrison's original sketches for Dick Bats and stuff, and he's good.
Huh.
There's Dick Bats all over that book, just hidden in the background. What I really like about this sequence as they're crashing through realities is the way that they convey moving through different worlds, like boxes within boxes and ships crashing. But they ultimately fall, Ultima Thule fall on the Earth 51, which is the Limbo planet, and it, I believe, is the planet that Nixu Wotan let die and has become the Limbo planet. But this ship basically
51.
Yeah,
it is.
Washes ashore the planet of Limbo, where nothing happens, and it's where it's very Jeff Lemire Black Hammer in the that land of
it's very the trash planet from the Transformers movie.
Oh, Dare to Be Stupid.
Yeah, it's got all these.
Weird Al voiced a Transformer?
No, his song is on there.
No, god damn it! Why do I ever talk about Transformers?
Well played, Django.
There's another moment that made me crack up that the king of Limbo was Merryman from the leader of the Inferior Five.
Oh, we're getting a Jeff Lemire Inferior 5 series in the next couple of months.
Oh, it's all
there you go.
Lemire. And Ace the Bat Hound's in there too.
Oh, Ace is back.
Boing.
And in this place, in the land of Limbo, they find the book, and I'm not sure why it's here, but in I guess the library of everything is on this planet, and the book that is the oldest history of all reality is there.
Well, it's the library of nothing.
The library of nothing.
Right. So it can be everything, and this is the ultimate forgotten thing.
Yeah, it contains every book possible.
Right.
And that's what the big realization on this planet while they're here is that if something is possible, anything is possible. And that's kind of what causes Merryman and everyone to fight, which is the idea that if something can happen, anything can happen. And if anything can happen, that means we're in control of our destinies. But the book, the story that they get from this book is the story of the original Monitor self-analyzing, basically, is the metaphor I think he's getting at. And in doing so, he finds infinite possibility, but also within that infinite possibility is flaw. And so they cage it off, but he becomes infected by it, and he had built this giant mechanical thing that in that spot where he quarantined off this infection and built this robot, that's where his children, the Monitors, built their civilization, and they spent their entire existence wondering what this machine was about, and they thought that it was a giant weapon, and they realized that it was only going to show itself in the end times.
So,
and Superman's seeing all this, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
well, Superman and Shazam are getting glimpses of that, right? While they're lifting the pages.
Yeah. they're getting maybe they're getting visions of it. That's possible.
Because Shazam says, "You hear that, Superman? Of course you do." And then it says previously.
I think they're hearing the story, but maybe they're getting the visuals as well. But either way, they're about to go there and become that.
Plus, they were. I feel like I should read Crisis on Infinite Earths.
They're just on.
Get the trade for that
show.
They're just oh my god, it's heavy in here.
God, my teeth are heavy.
Zilovala is dying because she's powering her shin. I just can't feel my legs. Oh my I got this terrible kink in my neck.
The paisleys on the couch have gotten on my skin.
Not a huge fan of the weed. Just not a big fan.
Oh my god. Smell bong water?
Every time I think I even smell bong water, I just throw up. I lose it. One time I drank bong water at a party.
Oh, yeah.
Threw up all over my girlfriend. Never spoke to me.
Threw up in my beer can. Then got so drunk I drank it again.
Threw up in the beer can again. Left it.
Superman.
Zilovala feeds off of Uberman because she is a monitor and therefore a vampiric entity, and that's kind of a big part here. She feeds off Uberman. She realizes that Uberman is being powered by Mandrax. She starts to become Mandrak. That's no good. Ultraman shows up. Uberman.
He's proud of those thighs.
He's proud of those thighs. Are we proud of those thighs? No. We don't pride ourselves on material things like a thigh.
No.
Uberman? Ultraman? Ultraman, yeah. Thigh guy.
Thigh guy.
Thynal
Look at
crisis.
those thighs. Yeah, Thynal crisis.
What we realize is that opposites attract. The whole reality is built on musical frequencies. Ultraman is the exact opposite of Superman. He's from the negative version of our Earth, so their frequencies are the exact opposite. And when you get two waves or sounds of this exact opposite amplitude, they cancel each other out and create nothing or everything. So what happens is Ultraman and Superman touch, and in doing so, they ascend as universal constants, which Captain Atom is sort of explaining to them. And
Captain Atom does some crazy shit.
He does. Yeah. He's all big. And then Superman and Uberman become this giant machine that was built, but because Superman has a stronger will, he's able to control it. And what pursues is a giant 3D battle with a robot Superman fighting Mandrak, which is what they find out, the first tainted monitor that was the first to explore the Orrery of Worlds and has been feeding off of the Orrery of Worlds. And the big flaw of the monitors is that they live off of us. So by their existence, we are slaves to them, and we are their energy source, and we are going to be consumed by them, and they rob our reality of life. It's sort of the moral crux of the whole thing.
So is this Mandrak eating the 52, the Orrery of Worlds?
He's feeding off of the bleed, which is the space created between the worlds.
And so when we're here and we see him hanging upside down like a good vampire, is that actually happening to the Orrery of Worlds? Because this doesn't look like the place that we've seen the Orrery before.
It is that place, and I in the script of that first issue, they're sort of describing that world needs to be breaking down and have blood skies and show old Victorian buildings that are tarnished, and this doesn't do that in this double-page spread.
Blood skies, which are like the constant reminder that there's a crisis in the DC universe, right? Like there's been blood skies in most of the crises. Superman throws Mandrak off of a thing and realizes that he's literally the embodiment of all positive potential gathered together. Like, what's better than one Superman? Every single fucking Superman.
He's the Omni-Superman.
And
he's pretty strong, right?
He's a real strong boy.
Yeah, he's real strong. He's both thigh and anti-thigh at the same time.
And so, Superman does all that, rescues all the good stuff, defeats Mandrak, throws him down, but Mandrak and Ultraman decide, hey, we shall talk again, and we're going to fuck that Superman up at some point. And that's what comes back later on, and that was what was one of the largest complaints about this series was if you didn't read these Superman stories and Mandrak showed up at the end, you had no idea who he was.
Yeah. It's kind of, it's good that they collect it with this and with those Batman issues, although the Batman issues seem almost superfluous to this trade to me.
Mm-hmm. This is the center of the story, though.
Yeah, this is the center of the story that looked like a 2-issue spin-off that I would certainly not buy
Yeah, me too.
when it was coming
The
out.
first time I read it, it was before I really loved Superman. I didn't read this, so I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I got these later after trying to get all the issues. I'm like, musical submarines? What is this shit? But I love it now.
Is the Ultima Thule supposed to look like the Yellow Submarine?
Yeah.
Okay.
He explained that.
Oh,
It was a very good
It's
explanation.
a
was
Beatles
bloviating.
reference.
Okay.
It's a year one reference.
Year one.
Yeah.
Year one. I read that.
Which fed into
punching.
fed into metal.
Which fed into metal,
Yeah.
and Grant Morrison was really has been the big supporter of that idea from long ago that it is built on musical frequency and sound, and that's how 52 Earths coexist, and they're all vibrating at slightly different speeds, and therefore they all have a different tune.
Does anybody else have a problem with a giant robot that can actually stand a chance against basically like an uber-dimensional god being?
Well, he's an idea bot.
Yeah, he's an idea bot. He's a miracle bot.
Well, then why isn't he just slime?
Yeah. He's a metaphor automaton.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And a reference to, like, again, Silver Age goofiness with where Superman doesn't have his powers for some reason. He needs a big metal suit with one red eye, one green eye.
Yeah, he's like a Superman Gundam fueled by the
Yeah.
creative ideas of the universe. He's like the eidolon to God.
And like Billy Batson points out, kind of at the core of it, it's a love story. Mm-hmm. Not only Superman for Lois, but Grant Morrison for comics, all of us for comics, for stories,
And for Kirby.
and for Kirby, Kirby, and Kirby's love for comics.
Mm-hmm.
In one issue, we have the Tattooed Man meets Black Lightning, and basically Black Lightning is able to convince the Tattooed Man that he should be a good guy, and he's incredibly important.
That was a long road to get there in that issue.
I really like that
was.
issue because it was the best Black Lightning I've ever read.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
And I guess I like that because it's a character that I like the idea, but I read this on the same week that Batman the Outsiders came out, like whenever that was, a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, beans. This is not as good as the Morrison like Black Lightning character.
Yeah, Black Lightning currently is not good.
I guess, like...
Did you watch that freaking show, though?
Well, I haven't seen the show. I mean,
That
just in the
show,
comics.
though.
That show, though.
No on the show, though. No show, though.
To spend an entire issue flipping the Tattooed Man from bad guy to maybe not terrible guy, but then to also have all of these other things that seem to happen off panel and you just kind of see the result of it through the rest, that seems to give this Tattooed Man switch a lot of weight. And I know he's pretty important in subsequent issues, but this just seemed like a lot of pages to do what he's been doing in like a background of a panel.
Yeah, if we've got 12 issues total, does one need to be this?
Yeah, why didn't I see Commandy bouncing around in time for half of this issue? Why wasn't this
I agree.
Batman Secret File
And Grant
style where you
Morrison,
got 7 pages each story?
Morrison's the guy who can, fit an entire novel in a thought bubble. So
Yeah, yeah. So like, I'm curious about that choice because this issue kind of swings real hard in the other direction, and it's all kind of plot.
My feeling on a lot of this, kind of starting at this point, is that like Grant Morrison was like, I've got a lot up here, and I don't think I can get it in 7 down heres. Like, fuck, what am I gonna do? And that's kind of my read on it.
Okay.
I think that around this point, things start being like, I don't think everyone is reading all of the tie-ins. I think that he assumed, like, this is 10 years ago, so this is a very different event climate, 11 years ago. Right. And I think that he genuinely assumed that people were going to read all of it. And I think that that's an insane assumption by today's standards. But I think it started being this, like, we can't do this. Like, this isn't all going to fit.
Well, they would have read it if they'd released all of these as main series, maybe.
Yeah, but
Right.
like you're saying, this would be a terrible main series issue. It also doesn't make any sense as a linchpin side issue.
It would be a terrible main series issue, just like that one issue of Heroes in Crisis stood out as totally different from the rest of the series.
Issue of the year, baby.
Right? But it put the clutch in and did a totally different thing.
Which issue was this? Which weight came to this issue? Like, how long did we have to wait to get this issue? Was it after the 10 weeks?
Yeah, I believe we could look at the date. I didn't look at the specific date of this one, but I believe it was in that 10-week period. I think Superman Beyond 1 came out, and then Submit came out.
What the fuck is this?
So this issue has all of the like it shows the heroes' communication systems for getting back and forth and delivering information to each other in this world that Darkseid has basically taken over. And I really like that. Like the Daily Planet is still active, and they've got the Ray bouncing around through force fields because he's just light and actually just being a newspaper delivery boy. Yeah. I don't know if you guys read the Ray series back in the day.
No, but I think about you every time I see him.
I've wanted to read it since you.
He was not allowed to leave the house when he was a little kid because his dad was afraid that he was going to get sunlight and manifest his powers. So to have him being a newspaper delivery boy is kind of cool because that was something he couldn't have had in an era that he, by all rights should have done
Django,
that.
this book is worth it.
That panel changed my mind.
Django,
You got me.
Where
you got
all
me.
of our convincing is working.
What's 2 days later? Oh fuck! It's giant dogs again.
Dead giant dogs, though. Yeah, Romans. Yeah, but they're
with
dead.
That's
Doom
even
Patrol,
worse.
Along with the Doom Patrol at that point, and Mr. Bones.
Oh, Mr. Bones.
Oh, Natch.
The big thing in
Captain
that issue
Blue.
is that Dan Turpin finally surrenders the fight against Darkseid and allows him to take over him, which is what it takes for a new god to be born into this world, is the sacrifice of an otherwise holistically good being.
Which, reading about Dan Turpin in the first few issues of this, I took issue with him.
He may be dirty and has a dirty exterior, but he's got a lion heart of gold.
Super
Yeah, he just didn't. He was a smoker. Can't be a good guy.
Yep, you're right. Actually, no, he's totally right.
Hey,
totally right.
Hey, Ben Grimm, Nick Fury, they were smokers.
Yeah, come on. He's stressed
that.
out. He takes everything that he cares about the world, internalizes it, and tries to kill himself slowly because he loves the world so much. That's Dan fucking Turpin. Take that back.
Dan Turpin.
Yeah.
What do you
Hit
guys?
him one more time.
Is he proud of smoking?
No.
What do you guys think of Wonder Woman's mask in this?
I think it's
Is it a
I
mask?
gotta find a good panel of it.
There aren't any because it's really gross looking.
What
Oh,
else
with
would
the
it
big
be, Jake?
Big
death's head
nose
teeth on
and is it a mask or did her face deform?
I think
It's
it's
a mask. They're all
Okay.
a mask. It looks like something out of
Mad Max.
yeah. Thanks.
I like that they turned Green Arrow into the Man in the Iron
I just
Mask.
want to say that now that we're here, like, Justin, we were talking about doing this, you were going to be the guy who hadn't read it, and I knew Django wasn't doing a lot of work, in the month to, like, try and figure out what was going on, and Roman wasn't going to be on this, so, like, I did an insane amount of work to try and guide us through that, like, through this book, and it's less necessary, so I'm sorry to talk as much as I am. I was just trying to, like, I wanted to have a map to get through this, and I didn't think that really any of us were going to, and I also didn't have it beforehand, so.
Right. I didn't read it all because I'm a schlub.
Well, no,
and
but
I
you read way more today than I thought you were going to, which is why I
Right.
thought, yeah.
I was going to go in blind, but then I was like, fuck, this is a book you don't want. Like, I cannot remember. It was probably 10 years ago I read this the last time. Or like 7 now, I guess. 6 or 7. Long enough.
A long time.
So I binged half of it in one sitting. And
Gosh.
So I'd be like,
So all these little sketches here, Grant Morrison sketches.
Yeah, those are the sketches that he did in his
That's
journal.
sweet. I really like his.
And they photoshopped.
Whoa,
them
did
all
you
into
just
the
jump
issue.
ahead like 2 issues?
Oh,
No, that's
I don't
this
know.
next one.
No. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
God, I love this next one too. With the Butler did it, the Batman issue.
Okay, that's jumping ahead.
Oh, sorry.
We spend this whole sort of next issue at the Battle of Bloodhaven. We've got Calabac. Green Lantern is acquitted of his crime because obviously Kraken is his
Yeah,
granny
they
goodness.
had framed Green Lantern.
There's this awesome Checkmate conversation with Checkmate and Renee Montoya where they're basically saying, like, yeah, we've got a last move in this human game, and it shows the OMAC things, but they're saying, like, we've got the Black Gambit, and they don't clearly explain what the Black Gambit is here. But,
Dude, I didn't realize that it was Maxwell Lord Omax. That's really cool. Also, they have this really weird, gross, like do-it-yourself assembly kit for the Omax.
Yeah, and that's straight out of Kirby's first issue of OMAC.
Yeah, it's on the back of Jeff's Pix thing down at the counter. It's like this.
I didn't put that there.
It's like this horrible build-your-own-woman set in concrete. It's one of the most disturbing pictures I think I've ever seen.
Man, there's all these like self-flagellation marks with this bondage Wonder Woman, which I think is interesting given Wonder Woman's origin and Grant Morrison's interest in that. But this next issue, Hal's acquitted after the honor guards guy and Kyle show up, and Granny goes straight aggro on him. Checkmate explains its existence. Nixu Otan in the... I think I misspelled that word. Oh, so the big part of this issue is that at the end, Nixu Otan is in a prison cell tank that is filled with other people that are immune to the anti-life equation. There's 2 other people. I love that sequence of them talking about, it's almost impossible to solve the Rubik's Cube in under 18 moves. And Nixu Otan is trying to remember this previous life that he can't quite remember that's plaguing him. And he's got these drawings of these characters that he does. And this chimp, who is actually the pirate chimp sidekick from Multiversity. Mm-hmm. If you remember that pirate chimp sidekick of Nixu Otan, who's the protagonist of Multiversity, is this chimp, and the other person in this room.
I don't like that noise Roman just made. Let's take it back.
Is Metron. So as soon as Nixu Otan...
I've been meaning to ask Jeff, who is this chimp?
That's the,
I thought it was guy. I thought it was the Shaggy Man
Chimp.
or something.
I thought it was Detective Chimp, who you would have known about. But it's not.
Yeah.
As soon as he remembers Weijia Dell's name, the crippled person with the Rubik's Cube solves the Rubik's Cube in 17 moves, and thus ushers in the 5th age. Gods as men, the new gods are all here. But at the same time, Darkseid is just under half of the population, and he's talking about how when he speaks with 3 billion hands. When he sees, it is with 6 billion eyes, which I think is just such an awesome, like, World War II thing, like Hitler and shit.
Okay, 2 things. One of the things I think is really important in this issue is that we find out that isn't this the one where we find out that if you draw this design on your face, you're immune to the anti-life equation?
Very possibly. Or the one before this. But yeah, like the circuit.
Yeah, you draw the circuit, and that's part of Miracle Man's costume design, and
that's how you escape.
The fallen devil god is dragging us down with him into a deep, dark hole in time with no light, no hope, and no escape. That's where I come in, Mr. Terrific. You see this pattern we all painted on our faces? Tell your people to do the same.
I really liked that. Also, I know this is probably only going to be a discussion for Django and Roman, but this thing where Darkseid has taken over half of the population like he has is basically what Starro does, right? But he puts a star on people's face instead of needing an anti-life equation.
Yeah.
I love Starro.
And they act in a similar way, like hive mind zombie sort of movements.
Oh. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, and the circuit on the faces, because we saw Anthro was the first one to do that back when Commandy showed up.
Oh God!
Anthro was painting it.
Hang on, let me
face.
flip back at after he did 700.
Yeah, after he did
it. There it is.
Yeah, it's the circuit.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's interesting. So in this point, all the Green Lanterns start falling towards Earth, but they don't, because of the Alpha Lantern, the Guardians of the Universe, the Guardians, or whatever those green little aliens are called.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Enact Krona Protocol, which is the crazy Guardian, right? Krona.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So they have Krona Protocol, which takes the giant lantern and puts it into a pocket reality, which is why all these lanterns have to ultimately fall to Earth because they can't use their rings to fly there.
Because they'll run out of juice.
And time and space is collapsing around it, so they know that gravity is denser there, so they can just fall into it, but they can't like speed up to do it, which is... So anyway, that's that issue. Batman issues.
Well, I think I really liked the second one and didn't really like really liked the first one and didn't love the second one as much.
I was so pissed off because before I wanted to read Final Crisis, I wanted to get caught up on Batman. That's why I got into comics as an adult. And like these 2 issues were ones that I got, and like just with no context trying to read these was like, what the fuck?
With context, it's even kind of touch and go.
Yeah, these were wild issues.
It basically just kind of takes you through Batman's like fever dream while he's trapped by Mr. Simeon and Lobo Eyes guy.
But the big reason in the way that he's able to get out of this is that Alfred is not Alfred. Like, Alfred isn't the voice of unrelenting support and love for him.
So you can tell that the wrong person was writing Alfred.
Yeah. Right. Like, this isn't being constructed. So the Lump, which is a classic Jack Kirby villain who, you know, traps people's consciousness in a machination of their own, has done that with a lump of their own. It has done that with Batman, and he gets out because he's Batman. Don't you have some things to say about Batman?
Batman.
Make me stop talking.
He do the punching thing. He did the thing earlier with the Alpha Lantern. That was good.
There ain't no friggin' bat.
I gotta watch that movie with you one day, man.
Yeah, I love it. I got nothing, man. These are some weird issues. I just want to get to the Miracle Machine.
You know what I love about these issues is how Lee Garbett, who drew both of them, is able to kind of ape the style of each artist, because it's basically flipping through Batman's life like you're flipping through Golden Age, Silver Age, Modern Age comics, and it's real quick flashes, just a panel or two each to show you what's going on. But as you get to like these pages look a whole lot like the Alan, what is his name?
Death in the Family?
Yeah,
George Perez, those issues?
Yeah, the George Perez issues. When you get a little bit further, there's like Bane breaking his back, and it looks a lot like somebody doing a good imitation of Jim Aparo. The Joker, like his style just changes super drastically. Oh yeah, that is a Norm Brave. Is it?
Yeah, because Jim Aparo wasn't doing Batman when he got his back broken.
Jim Aparo drew the fucking issue that Batman's back got broken in. Yeah, it's the biggest disappointment.
I believe it was Mazzucchelli, right?
No, that's year one. That's a year one reference, guys. Good one. But just like reading this, he's able to evoke each era of Batman really well. The end.
And then they get into these two pages with all the like tiny little panels. That was a lot of fun, where Batman confronts the lump.
And it's Lee Garbett.
What has he done since?
Skyward.
Is he still around? Oh.
He drew Skyward?
Yeah.
Wow, he's
cool.
I can see that.
Yeah, which is like, I feel like the inking and the coloring is the thing that drastically makes that different. But like the art is there. Like it's surprising.
All of these tiny panels on these pages make me think that at some point they're like, oh fuck, we're out of pages.
Yeah.
squeeze 6 pages into this.
Is this a Final Crisis story or is this a Batman story? What is this thing that we're writing, Grant? But he gets out of it, everybody. He gets out of it.
It's in his contract.
It's in his contract. All right, Justin, where are we now?
Where are we now? How to Murder the Earth by Grant Morrison. J.D. Jones. Time. Well, as a matter of time, Superman is in some... Where is Superman? Is he going to get the Miracle Machine with Super Brainiac from
Brainiac 5 from the Legion of Superheroes.
Right after the whole thing, before he comes back, Brainiac 5. And this is in Legion of Three Worlds, the miniseries. They fight Superboy Prime.
The first 3 pages only take 72.4 seconds to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, then what does happen?
Nobody fucking knows. Superman memorizes how the machine works in like half a second because Brainiac's screaming at him to just look at it.
Well, because Superman's all hyped up on his super juice. He's got that 40 perception.
And that's the kind of thing Superman could do back in the day.
That's what I like, is Superman's like super smart when Grant Morrison writes him. Like he can do all this crazy super stuff that we couldn't do because he's got a super brain.
But he still gets all fucked up with kryptonite around.
Oh yeah, he do.
Chump.
Yeah. Couch lock. I don't feel very good, guys. I think I smoked too much.
Oh god!
Did I break my jaw? Oh my god, my overbite. So
it just keeps clicking.
It's huge. It's so big. How did it get so big? It hurts though.
So in this issue, Desaad inside Mary Marvel is defeated by Shazam, or Black Adam. I can't remember. Who grabs her and says Shazam, and the lightning strikes her, and it reduces Mary Marvel back to her normal form, which to me echoed Miracle Man.
Yep.
Alan Moore's Miracle Man. And she's like, I'm never saying that word again. And it's like when young Miracle Man was forced to turn back into a person, he had been being the evil young Miracle Man all of that time. Which there's several, I think, direct references to Moore in here, but he's said that they're not, which I think is that great little brother syndrome that Grant
prickly
Morrison
fucks.
always has. Yeah.
This is the issue where doesn't Mary Marvel as Desaad call somebody a slut?
Yeah.
Is it okay? So that's Desaad doing that, which seems weird to me.
Yeah, it's also Grant Morrison doing it, which isn't necessarily the best
form
either.
Hang on, let me go back to that Superman issue where we find out that this is all just a story in a comic.
There's a lot of fan service in this issue too. I mean, I love that fight between Taki Tani and Calabac, except it's Calabac in one of the tiger bodies.
Both of the fans of Taki Tani
are
serviced in this.
There's no limit on the amount of fans you need for fan service.
You're not wrong, Roman.
Taki Tani kills Calabac, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Got him.
So this is kind of the turning of the war, right? It seems like the good guys are about to win.
Well.
Unless.
And it seems like Lex Luthor is about to turn on Libra.
Yeah. Well, he does.
In this issue. Yeah.
Yep. The Black King of Checkmate shows Montoya the Black Gamut, which is a plan to repopulate a dead Earth with our own Earth at a time of devastation when our Earth is going to die. And Lord Eye are these text bubbles, and that's Brother Eye using Maxwell Lord's psychic powers. Then Batman, in the ultimate act of defiance of his character, shoots the Radion bullet that they found that had been shot back through time, which we didn't really talk about how awesome that concept is, but a bullet was shot backwards through time that killed Orion, which started this whole thing.
Wasn't that how Captain America got shot and came back too? Within 2 months of this?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was like parallel time bullets.
Oh, was that a time bullet?
It was Captain America. It was a time bullet.
Thing parallels. Then Bucky becomes the dude, and the whole thing has a weird parallel.
Marvel and DC. Separated at the womb.
Yep.
Batman shoots the Radion bullet at Darkseid, which is the original bullet that Darkseid would fire later on in this series, thus ensuring his own fate. He shot this bullet, which is the only bullet that can kill him, because it's the only bullet that can kill a god, because it's radioactive to a god. Batman shoots him, but only after being hit by the Omega Sanction, which looks like it kills him.
It does kill him.
Which, in fact, sends him back in time.
Spoilers.
Just like the bullet.
Django, it's all right. There's a final page that editor made him put in that shows that he's not dead.
Did you guys know that I read all of the fucking Return of Bruce Wayne after I finished this?
Oh,
to find out what happened.
Even recently?
Pretty recently,
Yeah.
And?
It's fine.
Did you read it alternating the Batman and Robin issues?
Hell no.
It goes from fine to pretty good.
Oh.
The way that it came out.
That much more sense.
Yeah.
That little.
Yes. Superman shows back up after Darkseid has been shot by Batman, and then Batman quote unquote dies.
Okay, hang on.
Or falls into a lake. Who knows?
That's my point. Rest in peace, Batman.
This is about where I started losing the train here. Is Darkseid actually dead? Did Batman beat him?
Darkseid is shot with Radion, which is a cancer-causing thing for gods. So he is going to die, and he didn't need to shoot him anywhere fatal, but Radion will kill a god.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in a couple pages, or maybe the next issue, we see the final essence of Darkseid still sort of making a play, but he's not dead yet. Superman shows up, he blows up Command D in a huge fit of rage that we don't understand, that clearly surprises Supergirl until we see that he emerges with the dead body of Batman from Command D.
And he's holding him just like he held Supergirl.
Yeah, from that OG Crisis.
Yep, with the red skies behind him and everything. He's not crying this time, though. He just looks stern.
He's just bummed.
That's his buddy.
Man, Justin, if I had to hold your dead body...
Fuck.
God. Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Either one of you better fucking cry.
I'd probably cry. I'd also be really bummed that your clothes just don't fit. Like, look at his ribs.
Come on. Yeah.
Eat or something, Batman.
I don't know how Alfred Taylor is better.
I think he's got SIBO. What's interesting in this issue is, in those final pages, Doug Mahnke has taken over art for the issues.
And we're glad about that.
We are.
Yeah. Okay, so in the very first page of the next issue,
the final issue,
which has Superman on the cover, we start with a Watchmen reference.
Oh? Yeah, he said that. Yeah, he said that's not, that's the big one. That he was just like, no, I was just trying to channel like the people that when the end times are going to be.
If it's not, if it's not a Watchmen reference, you say the end is near.
Yeah.
If it's a Watchmen reference, you say the end is nigh. So
this boat, same boat.
Shut the fuck up, Grant Morrison.
Whoa.
Admit it. Admit it.
Oh, yeah.
I think he'd be the first to admit that he likes Alan Moore.
Yeah, I also think
Yeah.
he's probably sort of like, we can't do that or he'll get mad at us.
Right.
Again.
Say
Again, he'll-
anything or
he'll-
Alan Moore will
he's
shut
out
Final
there.
Crisis.
He'll send the owls after
and
me.
he can
That's
That's
Scott
obviously argue it because, of course, that phrase existed before Watchmen. But
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, Beard's.
I love the concept of a Superman president.
Yeah, and I
We
love
all love that concept, Django.
that.
yeah,
God damn it. Why am I reading this?
And that's one of the main characters of Multiversity.
yep.
And the final issue of Final Crisis. Roman, what do you got here?
Oh man, this is. I love this. Whatever this ship horn.
That is literally the
thing
text, whatever it is.
Is that? Oh, it is actually. Yeah, because I don't know if is that from kind of Mobius or from the Beatles or both. I mean, it's just beautiful.
Well, Mobius created the Beatles back in
Ah.
time so they could invent instruments.
They
so
used to
they
smoke
could play
big old
music.
doobers together.
Doobers.
Okay, so in this one, the kind of the finale of everything, Captain Marvel and the Superman and the multiverse show up.
I really liked that.
And they're
a
all
ton of
really
Supermans
strong.
from the multiverse.
Yeah, it was fun trying to guess like exactly the combos in here because I think like Majestic from Image is in there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a lot of
Man,
stuff
there's
going on.
a lot going on. There's something going on with this platform in space that's I think defending against the bleed falling apart. It's the Watchtower.
It's the final spot in our reality that still exists as time and space are crumpling.
Okay, and it looks like
Is Prime in there?
Power Girl and the Frankenstein monster and Starman or Starboy from the future are there, kind of like maintaining the watch.
But then the Metal Men show up from a different reality.
Thank God.
Where?
Are these the robots from Superman 1 Million or from Justice League 1 Million that Grant Morrison did?
Oh,
Are they the
maybe.
robot
I
Justice
think
League?
so.
It
Yeah.
describes them as the Metal Men of Earth 44 and their human leader Doc Tornado.
Okay.
Which I think. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, because I'm just going to shit on things.
No, because I think
You got a
they
shit, bro?
kind of
gotta shit.
retroactively Morrison combined some things.
I got a Mobius strip
like
you
these
could
were
shit in.
from 1 million maybe.
Yeah, 'cause he wrote
originally,
1 million,
but
yeah.
but then he incorporated them into his reworking of the 52 worlds, the 52 multiverses.
Jeff,
Yes.
earlier today we were talking about Scott Snyder.
Is this about Mobius poop?
No, I mean,
You heard it. You heard it here
this,
first, kids.
this is Mobius poop. We were talking about Scott Snyder
Yeah.
and how I think you and Justin were discussing the way that he has kind of looped everything back to his creations, like Court of the Owls and
Oh yeah.
like
Those that Justin pointed out to me
Batman,
originally,
the
but yeah.
Batman clones from the far future, and like how stupid that is.
I don't think that's stupid. That was not what I said at all, but yeah.
He just has a tendency.
He just has
to
a
do
tendency to be like, remember this thing that I came up with?
That's what he's doing here. Like that's what Grant Morrison is doing here. If he's bringing in shit from one issue of DC 1 fucking million that he wrote,
I don't know if that is. They just
yeah.
look similar.
He's saying the Metal Men of Earth 44.
but he's doing that a lot
that
in this
to
whole
me sounds
book.
as much like a brand new concept that he's just saying DC, everything, Earth 44, their Metal Men are these. Like that.
Yeah, I think he made a alloy, if you will, of some different concepts, maybe from that and maybe the Metal Men of Earth.
He's
44,
also
whatever.
super good at throwaway characters. Like Grant Morrison
Yeah.
can shit a superhero out in a Mobius strip like no.
Yeah, I mean that's what he
one
did with the
else.
Super Young team. I mean,
Yeah.
But he's also, I don't know, he's bringing a lot of stuff around from his far back characters, right?
I don't see an Animal Man in here.
Yeah, I don't think that is like really a thing going on here.
There's
definitely
all
stuff-
of the Seven Soldiers of Victory.
I was just
but
gonna
was
say
that on
it's
purpose?
Definitely. Yeah, but that was like right before this.
Yeah.
It was like I think that
yeah,
it's
kind of the series that lead into this, I think, is his Seven Soldiers of Victory, the Starlin's Death of the New Gods, and his Mr. Miracle series, and Morrison's Mr. Miracle series.
All right, I retract
Which
my
was
Mobius
seven
strip
soldiers.
shit.
I want to read Seven Soldiers, Final Crisis, then Multiversity because they all have character overlaps and overlays that probably make it one.
I dare you.
On the
Do you think
topic,
I would make it off the couch afterwards?
Not if you.
I just galaxy brain.
not if you're
into-
just puffing cotton all fucking day.
yeah,
Just
man.
cheaping that queen herb.
Not really a big fan of the weed. though.
But there's mother spirits in me right now.
Oh my
I
god,
can't even feel my knees.
I'm duped up.
They're glowing balls of light. What does it mean if you can see your knees but not feel them? What
I think my knees are behind me.
Let's do this Hail Mary pass at the very end here. Reality is falling apart. The Black Gambit is to move the entire population to Earth 51, but oops, that's the dead planet. We can't
We
do
picked the wrong one,
that.
guys.
So in a sort of time capsule that they send through time, the beginning of time, they make this ship, or this time capsule in Superman's ship with all these moments. They send off in case they don't make it. They do make it though, because the miracle machine that Superman found that had been given to them by the controllers, which all fits, he sings the perfect note of song of hope. He asks like what song it is. He's like, "What song is it to you?" Which is a very Grant Morrison
Chopsticks.
thing. Yeah, it's Chopsticks. But he sings this ultimate. Well, okay, sorry, fuck.
Here comes
I
the
just jumped
sun.
ahead.
Duh.
Darkseid dies. He doesn't sing it. Darkseid dies because the Flashes, who have escaped into time, are being chased by the Black Racer, run right to Darkseid. Right as he takes aim to shoot the gun that's going to kill Orion, he shoots the bullet, and in doing so opens up that time stream they're stuck in that the Black Racer is chasing because the Black Racer is going to kill Orion. And they're following the Flashes, and the Flashes are running right to Darkseid, and they dodge Darkseid at the last minute, and the Black Racer takes Darkseid because he's dying of radiation poisoning instead of Orion and instead of anybody else. Thus ends Darkseid, but not the end of the story.
Mate.
Checkmate. Although still not the Black Checkmate that we've been reading so much about.
That's the same scene that we finally got to see Blue Devil in?
Blue Devil in this
Are
joint?
you a big fan?
You a
of
big Blue Devil? How?
Dude, I'm a big Blue Devil boy.
We're like, have we not talked about this?
Yeah, Blue
Am
Devil's
I proud of Blue Devil?
in. Right there.
Do
There's
I
Blue
like
Devil,
him?
guys.
I love him.
The big thing is that then the Ray makes the giant circuit
Which another great Ray moment.
on the Earth. Yeah.
This seems like Grant Morrison is writing directly to you.
He wrote 3 or 4 panels directly for me.
You don't like when a guy references his own work and shits upwards and downwards at the same time, but you love when Frank Miller is referenced in anything.
Yeah, but he's not
You're the
referencing
reference
himself.
king, baby.
You are the reference king.
You
I also-
are a Mobius strip.
Listen, I was just I was going on the attack. That's all.
Yeah, you
don't
can't
worry
get
about
out
it.
of this
Don't worry
one.
about
You're
it, guys.
trapped forever, my friend.
Oh, it's a Mobius strip.
Man, they realize reality's crumbling. They freeze everybody, shrink them down into these cute little trays.
Oh, hero
And
trays.
at the end of time, at the end of space, the idea of Darkseid taunting Superman. He's izzing.
Yeah, he's izzing all
He's
over the
izzing
place.
all over the place. He sings the final song to offset the balance in that sort of same metaphor for the balancing of opposing frequencies. Kills Darkseid. Mandrax shows up. All of the Supermen in all of reality, the epitome of every positive thing. How do you beat the ultimate bad, the ultimate good, every possible Superman? That's a pretty good moment.
Oh, the Supermans, yeah.
We got Majestic,
Midnighter and Apollo. We got Apollo there.
Apollo, you
Apollo.
got the carrot guy minus the rabbit.
The Zoo Crew does come back though.
Oh,
He
love the Zoo Crew.
There's the
rebirths
modern
Zoo
African
Crew.
American Superman and the 70s African American
Yes.
Superman.
Love him.
And where's
Man,
Prime in all this?
There's even like a
Optimus?
55-year-old grumpy Superman.
All of the new gods go to Earth 51. That's where the Earth gods go the new gods go because it couldn't support our life there. The monitors are alive, but Nixu Wotan, who's now in charge, says no. We got to put this to bed, and he wakes up in our reality, Bruce is at the beginning of time with Anthro as he's about to die. And to me, all of that at the very end is what the really thing that happens is he uses the miracle machine and they say, "What did you do?" And it's powered off of idea. And Superman says, "I wished for a happy ending." And that's to me where like the mechanics of this final issue are hard to track, and they are there. And like there's a long interview with Grant Morrison, and he kind of explains all of it. He's like, "It's all there. Like you can figure it out if you want."
If you just know how to read, you'll understand everything I've ever
which is at
done.
the beginning of the podcast where you had said that was difficult. I said that was difficult for you. But that idea of he used a miracle machine to make a happy ending. He re-put the Earth into the spot that it was supposed to be. He repopulated the Earth because this ultimate powerful thing was able to create a happy ending. which is again that theme of the power of story, trope, and possibility. Nothing is impossible when you're telling stories. That's how people have taught lessons. That's how we live and grow and change.
Yeah, the Miracle Machine is a metaphor for
Grant Morrison.
comics themselves.
All right, I'm done.
You
guys do it.
I'm really glad you guys like this comic.
Yeah.
I thought I would like it more after talking about this. I like it
And
less.
I fucking hate it.
This took me in exactly the opposite direction what I expected. But I'm really glad that that it works for some people. I wouldn't
really works, baby.
Yeah,
It turns my crank.
I think that's awesome.
I swallowed the worm.
I would never put this in somebody's hand to recommend it, but I would put them in your hands to recommend
That's why
it.
it's on our shelves, baby.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't try to recommend it that often. Like, Ryan, you got it. That's because we were going to be talking about it and everything. But like, I don't recommend this. I will tell people it's my favorite event comic, but I don't ever try to get people to read it because I don't think it would take people saying that they like a certain pocket of books for me to be like, well, this is a good thing for you, because it's not. It's not for everybody. It's not even for most people. It's a pretty unique thing, but it's, I think, exactly like that Grant Morrison quote that I opened it with, which is just like, if you're tired of a lot of things being done a certain way, this is a salve for that. Like, it's a very different thing.
It also has been, I think, a very hard book to do a podcast about.
Oh my God, everybody.
It's so complex, and there's so much context and like historical information. Just to even be able to discuss it, you have to explain Crisis on Infinite Earths. You have to have like a certain amount of knowledge for all these characters that have come from Jack Kirby and things that happened in issues that like none of us have even read.
Not in a bad way, but when I was reading this, I really it was dated in the way that like it makes so much more sense for the context of the current state of the DC universe in 2008. Like, it was post Infinite Crisis, which was post this crisis, but it was leading into
New 52.
Yeah, like it makes it's so indicative of where the industry and DC universe, because of that, in the late 2000s. I think it has, like, obviously tons of universal appeal, and it is talking about bigger things, but it's so much a product of, like, the industry. DC was also kind of reinventing itself, and they really wanted to do a Crisis book where it seemed really dark and grim and rebirthing the heroes again. Like, he wanted to write something that seemed like the heroes couldn't come back from, and then they could. You know, like, he wanted to try to make the darkest Crisis there was, so he went super, super meta.
And all they needed was a miracle machine.
But isn't that what, like, every story is?
Yeah.
Like, isn't Deus Ex Machina, like, kind of the thing? Isn't everything kind of
Every story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Did anybody stay dead in this? Did Darkseid stay dead?
Nothing ever ends, Jacob.
No, because wasn't he reborn in that Justice League run?
Oh yeah,
as Wonder Woman's kid or Wonder Woman's sister's kid.
I guess I mean, when Superman used the Miracle Machine to rebuild everything, did he rebuild it better without Darkseid, or did he put everything back to where it belonged?
He put it back to where it was, as I understand it. And then the new gods are now on a different Earth, and
not above the Earth.
I don't really 100% know the relationship of the fourth world to our world. Like, I know that they are living ideas, especially as Grant Morrison represents it, but I don't know that that's how Kirby represented it.
I think that they are above the multiverse. They are things that can be in any reality at once.
And definitely the Monitors are above the new gods. Even.
Right.
So if he put the new gods on Earth 51, then Merryman and his merry band of weirdos is fucked.
Yeah,
because they're just going to turn that into New Genesis.
They've filled space.
Aren't they still? Well, aren't they still in Limbo?
Aren't the Monitors
Limbo
kind of
and
a
Earth
foil
51
for
are
us?
different, aren't they?
Earth 51 became
Oh,
Limbo.
you're right. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Or something.
You're wrong.
Okay.
I'm not. No, not you, Roman. I'm not sorry. I retract it all. Okay. You're right, Jeff.
I don't
accept.
Yes.
Oh God, I want to go to sleep.
Grant Morrison just says, like, he wanted to have the discussion of the beginning. He wanted to start with Anther, and he wanted to end with Commandy. He wanted to have the entire span of the entire DC universe and put it in the most extreme situation it could, and then see what his imagination would come up with, given the tools of reading DC Comics for his entire life, allowing himself to be the tool of the DC universe. How would it get out of it? And he says, finally, I wanted to wrap all of that up inside the final story of the Monitors and explain their strange relationship with the DC multiverse in a kind of mythic origin story inspired by the basic conflict that defines my job. The war between the white page, or the void, and the ink, or the multiverse of possibilities. And I think that that is the coolest fucking quote.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
like
awesome.
what every artist, when they sit down to do it, whether it's building a house or making a meal or making a comic or writing a song, like, it's that war of creating something that didn't exist there. Like, you're overcoming the void. And God,
into
that's
the abyss every time.
Yeah, and that
That's
ties
what it's
into
about.
Morrison's. I mean, ties into his work on Animal Man. That same war. That's cool.
Can I make a prediction?
Yeah.
If we were all to score this book, the sum of our scores would be Roman's age, 36.
10, 10, 10, and 6?
Yep. That's what I think.
Whoa.
The only downside for this: no Plastic Man. Not even one panel.
No Plaz.
They
Plaz.
got Blue Devil.
Yeah, they got Blue Devil. They even got Red Devil.
They got Blue Devil. They got Captain Carrot,
Love him.
and they forgot Plastic Man.
Maybe he just doesn't like stretchy characters. Like elongated man isn't there either.
That's true.
I don't want the rubbery guys. Get them out of
They're
here.
not
rubbery
strong
guys.
enough. They're not concrete enough.
I'm
I need to
allergic.
all of that is a way to get through this story. I think those are the stepping stones of getting from the beginning to the end of this story and understanding kind of what happened. That, to me, is a thing that I put together in the last, like, couple of weeks, and is what I've never 100% gotten out of that story, and what's not important about that story to me. Like, that's what happened on the surface, but what this story is everything beneath that and above that, and it's stuff that I got and enjoyed out of it a long time ago, and I don't think understanding... I think the beauty of this book is that every time I'll read it, it'll mean something different to me. I read this a month and a half ago, and this morning I was like, fuck, I need to know what happened at the end of that book, because I can't... Like, what happened at the end never sticks with me, because it's not important. You know, it's this idea
It's the journey.
Yeah, of what story and possibility is. So I'm super sorry that if that was just a throw up of things, didn't know how to have this conversation.
I think people listen to this podcast for our mellifluous voices
Oh, that's
more
true. You've got a
than
good
the
one.
words that we
You've got a
say.
good one.
Oh yeah. Django, I can hear your glasses on your face, even though you're not wearing them.
He did say mellifluous.
Yeah, he did.
I can't tell if I'm supposed to
Django.
like push my glasses back up,
Oh,
or
now you
if
sound
you're
like an
saying it like
ambulatory
it's a
boondoggle.
oh callback. I think reading this as a group is a good thing.
Issue by issue, or like as a graphic
No, just
novel?
like discussing
Sitting
this
in a circle, reading it out loud until from start to finish.
script pages, baby.
Yeah.
just reading it and discussing it together. I think each of us finds a different little nugget in there.
Django
that,
finds an
whoa,
angle on shit I don't see
Yeah.
every week. Absolutely.
I wasn't fishing for that, but I'll take it.
Listen, I gotta protect you. That's my job, right? I gotta protect that ego of yours.
I don't. Yeah.
I've said way too much. So everybody else, if you want to do a sign off or something, I'm gonna go drink some water with some lemon.
I'm
Smoke
Django,
a doober.
and I'm glad that Batman came back eventually. It would be sad without Batman forever. I mean,
That
without
was my
Batman,
favorite of the Schumacher
it would be awful. Never mind.
It's like we started talking about Transformers.
I'm Scooby Doobert.
I'm
yeah, whatever happened to
what's
Doober?
the it's not Optimus Prime, but it's the Transformer
Scrappy Doo.
control after that.
Rodimus Prime.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm next.
Shockwave.
Oh, I know.
Simon Gath.
I was goofing.
Okay.
I was goofing on Django.
Huh? The zombie, Simon Gath.
Oh, Simon Garth.
No, it's a Gath on the third.
Yeah, how many thirds would you give it?
Oh, that's another callback.
How many Quapos? 8 Quapos.
We've lost it.
Yeah,
we've
sorry, everybody.
lost the thread.
Give
We'll
it
do a better one next
Infinite
time.
Quapos side by side, folding on each other and multisecting.
Blah.
Tesseract Quapos.
Romance.
Tesseract Quapos. They're bigger on the inside.
Quaporax.
You needed to be here.
It's 10:30. We gotta go to bed. We gotta,
my God.
I gotta
Oh
be
my
here tomorrow at the
God.
same time.
That was
10:30.
that Roman pretending to be Alan Moore merged with
Moiged.
Alan Moore is Ultraman, Grant Morrison is Superman, and they form a giant multicolored eye robot.
Moore.
I don't know how I'm gonna edit this fucking thing.
Yeah, you're
I
screwed.
don't know what I'm gonna do.
You're screwed.
Cool. See you there.